السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم.
Guys, be quiet, yeah? If anyone speaks, go on.
Guys,
Anyone speaks out.
I think I've spoken before we start, and I was very clear. I don't want to say that again, please, because this is really annoying. So if you don't feel comfortable, go out and sit with your dad, please. Okay? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله. يا غريب يا مظلوم يا شهيد كربلاء. أيها المظلوم السليم، ما خاب من تمسك بكم وأمنا من لجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ذلك ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Brothers, sons, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, the verse of the Quran I've mentioned something called Sha'a'ir Allah. Sha'a'ir Allah means it's talking about everything making you feeling about Allah. Everything create that feeling for you that when you do it, when you say it, it's actually remind you of Allah. So might some of you come in to say, so does that mean there is few things not really belongs to Allah and things belongs to Allah? The answer is no. Everything actually belongs to Allah. However, sometimes the God give that kind of recognition to some of the acts we're doing and to some of the time we're passing through. So that's why on the other verse of Quran, Allah said, وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ. O Prophet Muhammad, remind them with the days of Allah. So that reminding, it's actually all about bringing attention to all the Muslims and the Shiites to give these days and these acts more attention, to focus on them, to do them. However, could some of you say, what's going to be the difference between the mosque and the normal land? What's going to be the difference between the mosque and the normal house? The difference is, as been mentioned in the Quran, that the mosque actually belongs to Allah, while the normal land or the normal house, Assalamu alaikum. Have a seat, please. If you want to sit down, feel free. If you want to sit down, feel free. If you want to sit down on the floor, feel free. Guys, come in. Come in, please. Come here, join me. No, please. Okay, أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Okay, Okay, so we were talking about something we call it Sha'a'ir Allah. So, and we say that that's all about everything making you feeling of reminding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the Sha'a'ir, obviously, is what we do during them 2 months. So, some of you gonna say, okay, so how does that remind us of Allah? And what's the reminding of Allah mean? So reminding of Allah, in few words, is any act, anything you're gonna do, when you do it, bring to your attention straight away, that's all. This belongs to the heaven. The heaven have directed us to do it, so that is reminding us actually with the real message of Allah and what Allah wants from us. So, and we put question in the beginning, guys. We say, what is the difference? So the difference is the attribution. These places, these sha'a'ir, these acts, Allah gave it honor to attribute these acts, these places to Him. So, some of you are going to come in to ask, to say, okay, so we agree, as there is something called Sha'a'ir Allah. Yeah, we accepted that, there's no issues with that. And it's okay with this. But what you're doing in Muharram is not actually acceptable. Because that is not, it doesn't really belongs to the civilized human, what we call it. Listen, Habibi, excuse me, go out please. Stick yourself off, please. Okay, so what we got, guys, we got that ishkal, this problem, that problematic getting pulling forward about the Sha'a'ir of Imam Hussein. Some of you could come in to say, listen, but what you doing to yourself? You just lashing your chest, you're hitting your back with, I don't know, piece of metals, you walking for days and nights. What's the importance of that? What is it? Why is that matter? We could, let's say, if we want to get a remembrance of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, we could sit outside on a decent way, have a decent place, and then we have a conference. Or we could sit outside and start joining the people and doing kind of open theatre. And then we start giving kind of advices, food for the people, just to make them reminding Imam Hussein. So why are we doing all these acts? So that question is vital, to be fair. Because sometimes when you try to answer it, you need to do some analysis to the answer. So first of all, what is the definition of the civilized man and the savage man? Are we actually savage? Or are we civilized? And what's the definition for the civilization? So I'm sorry if the level of the lecture today is a little bit high for some of the kids, but unfortunately we need to get a little bit in depth just to get an idea about the answer. We need to understand what's going on around us to get a proper answer about this ishkal, this problem, this issue. So if we need to go to the writers and ask the writers, okay, so you describe us as savage men. So what's the definition for the civilization? So the civilization has been defined on a different ways. So one of the definition was the civilization is when you get a place where you get in high buildings and where you get in, I don't know, nice cars, everything is 24 or 25, and you get places where you get nice streets, nice gardens, so that is a civilization. So whoever going to live in that atmosphere, he's called a civilized person. However, if the person lives in the countryside, if the person lives somewhere else, then this is savage person. And I think this is, probably some of you agree with me, as this is actually wrong. That's not the idea behind it. The other definition comes with Will Jordan. So Will Jordan, he said, it's a sociable system. The civilization is a sociable system. It has got something called cultural outcome. You know, once you get a place where you're getting people has got that kind of, so once you get a place where you're getting people that got that amount of scientists, it's got that amount of artists, it's got that amount of people producing poems, the paintings. So that means this place is the definition for the civilization. Could you lock the door, please, folks? Otherwise, the places which is pulled from these things, it's actually not civilized. We could agree in some points with that. So if you come into this and stop on that point and go back, let's say to the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, you're going to find the real civilization have started from these places. And I'm going to mention to that in the next few days, but not in this lecture. So, within the civilization search, there is two different theories I've discussed that. One theory came by a philosopher, a French philosopher, called Roger Garaudy. So this person has said, listen, between the civilizations, there is kind of communication, connect. He called it the civilization dialogue. So the example for that, you've got now probably friends on the social media who lives on the other side of the earth, but you speak English, they speak, I don't know, let's say Spanish because they're Brazilians, but you get that kind of dialogue between you where you're having a contact between each other. He starts speaking English a little bit, you start speaking Spanish a little bit, and then you get that exchange of ideas between you. So that is actually the civilization dialogue. And that civilization dialogue going deeper and deeper and deeper. So let's say once you get that kind of, you know, these people, we're calling them the mustabsirin. So the people who were on a different madhab of Ahlul Bayt, and they joined the madhab of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So these people actually, okay, could you lock the door please? So these people actually, they became, that's their part of the madhab, because they actually hear and saw what's going on within the Shi'is madhab. So they're being convinced about this madhab, and they start to change their doctrine to say, listen, we were wrong, we're going to join. If you think about the civilization's dialogue, that's one of the definitions as well, because they were belongs to completely different country, different background, and different doctrine. So they start to come to the right side. However, the other attitude, they said no, there's a conflict between the civilization, and that's what they call it, the civilization conflict. And that comes by American and Japanese philosopher called Francis Fukuyama. So he said that, listen, there's no such things called we're working together. No, we work against each other, and we have to invade the other culture. We have to get control on the other culture. We have to manage to find out where is the weak points on the other culture and attacking that. If I'm going to give you example of our life, day in and day out, one of the main examples we're dealing with is the fashion. So he goes to the market. We try not to pick the quality, we try to pick the brand. I want to take Calcon. I want to take Goji. Is it called Goji? Okay, Goji. I wanna buy what is it? Adidas. I wanna what is it? You name it. You give me examples of these stupid brands, and some of them is the same T-shirt, but you're paying about triple price for it just because it's got that stick on the chest. So one of the amazing books, and you know what they say about the brands, it's the what we call it is the manufacturing of the rich people who's being made to the poor people. Because you're going to go to the rich people and you're going to see what they're wearing. It's quite simple. You see them on their conferences. While the poor people who go into this conference, they're just doing AR. They got, what was that shoes? Nike Air or something. It's about 450 or something. So, whatever. There's a book called The Empire of Fashion. It's a quite important book. In this book they said, take yourself back 30 or 40 years ago. Obviously that's not for some of you guys because you're quite young. But if I'm going to go back about 30 years ago, when I used to buy clothes, I used to buy the fabric and I used to take it to the person who's doing the design and I choose a design. But now, that freedom of choosing the design has been taken off me. That freedom of choosing the design is actually belongs to the brand owner. So now, that freedom of space, which I had about 30 years ago, is gone. So, is anyone of you has got an idea in his mind now to say, okay, I don't like any of these t-shirts, I don't care about the brand, I want to buy fabric, I want to go to that person to make a design and do it for me? Never. It will never happen. That's because it's what they call it a civilization conflict. So people try to steal your freedom. Because everybody knows that the clothes is part of the culture. Have you got that in the school, the culture day? I'm presuming all the students in the primary and the secondary, they have it. And then they're asking you to wear your own clothes. Imagine if you belongs, I don't know, let's say Morocco, let's say Tunisia, let's say Iraq, let's say Kuwait, you name it. And then he goes there, you're wearing Adidas tracksuit. It's going to be funny, isn't it? Honestly, when you think about it, they're going to say, bloody hell, have you got no country? Why is this? Just because the fashion is part of the culture. So when that getting taken from us, we're losing the battle. The other example as well is the media. And I don't want to go really deeper on that, but honestly, we lost even our language. If you think about it, last time I was, you know what, it's funny, but I have seen it in a series, that even the emoji has got a language now. So when somebody has put in a purple heart, it's different from the red heart, and it's different from the blue heart, and when somebody put in part of the brackets, the right side is different from the left side, and you name it, you probably know that more than me. If I'm going to give you the mic, I'm going to speak about it probably for 2 days. So, we lost even our language. I hear sometimes some of the youngies, when they're talking on the phone, they're not saying Salaam Alaikum, hey, what's going on? That is not supposed to be the starting of the scenario between you and your brother in Islam. It shouldn't be that way. So, where did that come from? The media. Because when you see Hollywood movies, they never say hi. The cowboys, when they're speaking on the telly, the first thing comes to your head, oh bloody hell, I need to be saying Muslim because they're good boys. and then you're gonna get that personality in yourself, which is gonna change your mind, your mentality, and your thinking. So all that comes within the civilization conflict. They want to make you lose in your basics, and that's the scary thing. So you have to always be careful. Okay, so it comes now to the advantage of the Sha'a'ir al-Husayni. So the Sha'a'ir is actually acts we do in Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Sha'a'ir actually is acts we do in them 2 months to make us feel in the pain of Imam Hussein. Have a seat, guys. Salaam alayhi. To make us remembering Allah and to make us going back to the right direction if we are on the wrong direction. So, might somebody come in to say, obviously, I'm presuming everybody of you has got example of the Sha'a'ir, isn't it? So if I'm going to ask probably any of you to put his hand up and to give me one example of the Sha'a'ir of Imam Hussein, I'll be more than happy to listen to you guys. Anyone interested? Just to give me one example of the Sha'a'ir of Imam Hussein. So when I mention about the lecture, I say the acts which we do which is remind us with Allah and Imam Hussein. Probably because of the noise we had at the beginning, so we probably missed it. So, no, the Sha'a'ir is the acts we do on them 2 months, Muharram and Safar, to remind us with Imam Hussein, yes?
Giving food.
Great, giving food for the sake of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Yes, walking to Karbala. It's one of the greatest example we live in. And then this, where we're sitting now, is Sha'a'ir. Because in this, the first thing you hear, the first thing you see when you comes in, you see the black sheets. The first thing you're wearing when you leave your house or thinking to wear is a black suit. Because you want to show to your family, to the world, that I'm so sad for the loss of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So all these Sha'a'ir. So, we comes now on asking ourselves, before we go into the depth of the Sha'a'ir, are these acts just in our culture? Are we the only people in the world doing that? No. I'm presuming every one of you have heard about the bullfight in Spain. You've heard about it, have you? So come on, you should know that. So whoever went to Spain, they knows that's probably the bulls status everywhere, wherever you go. Especially I think in Catalonia, isn't it? So because I've seen it quite a lot in Catalonia. So, and when they used to do it, you know the numbers are scary. Give me a number about how many bulls getting killed every year from this act. Something in your mind.
50.
What do you think?
500.
500, what do you think?
10,000.
It's 500,000 every year. That's what the report says. 500,000 bulls getting killed every year when they bullfight, because they're getting stabbed and they're getting killed after. So, take another example. There is a dance in New Zealand. Do you know the name of it?
The haka.
Haka. Great.
Do you know that?
It's quite famous.
I do in my school.
Well, so you probably have got some New Zealand students. However, that is one of the famous things in New Zealand that they want. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Assalamu alaikum. Have a seat. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sit on the floor or sit next to me. Come here. Come here, sit here. Come here. Come here, guys. Okay, so you all have heard about Hamoudi. When they're going out, just close the door after them, please. like I said, I reckon you've heard about that kind of dance. That belongs to the people from New Zealand. And you know what? Sometimes you find it funny, but it's that deep within the New Zealand culture that they doing it when president for another state goes to visit them. And you got people don't want to probably put the YouTube on now, but you'll be able to put it on the YouTube and you see it, and then you're going to be laughing because they're just taking their tongues out, opening their eyes and doing these kind of funny movements. If you're going to go now to the Spanish person to tell them, no, you're crazy, what you do is wrong. Or if you're going to the person from New Zealand to say, listen guys, what you're doing is really bad. That dance is horrible. Are you crazy or what? The first thing they're going to do, if you are on their land, do you want to open the door for them? Just open the door. Just open the door for them and get them to sit down. Can't just take it. Guy, just sit there. Just sit there. Yeah, thank you. أحسنت. أحسنت. Okay. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. So, if you go to any one of the New Zealand people, of the people of New Zealand, sorry, or the Spanish people, while they are in Spain or in New Zealand, and say, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You're doing these acts. They could probably take you to the court because you're breaching their culture. It's part of their culture. So why it's allowed for them and it's not allowed for us to be proud of what we're doing? And what we're doing, the consequence for it has taken us definitely to the right direction, which is being a good person. So, if we come into the Sha'a'ir and try to ask ourselves why we're beating ourselves to death for the name of Imam Hussein. First of all, do you know that the musibah of Imam Hussein and the maqtal of Imam Hussein, historically, it was one of the first musibah has been written on the same hour. And you know, when you do documentary, it's quite difficult to capture the facts on a time where there was no social media, no internet, nothing. So now, if you go outside and you see people marching, and these people just marching for the justice for Gaza, for instance. So it's quite easy to capture. You take your phone out, you put it on a live on YouTube or whatever, and then you take that video. There was no YouTube, there was no mobile phone on the time of Imam Hussein. Well, at that time, we had people who had attended the battlefield and they wrote the musibah. So once you get, and that musibah has been passed over and over and over until it's reached to us, this is by itself making us thinking twice about what kind of pain Imam Hussein and his companions have suffered from, because they were not actually dealing with something easy. They were dealing with tough things, and they passed actually tough things. So on the time of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the time of Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, the first person have wrote what we call it the maqtal. See, there is a majlis, we do it on the day of Ashura. We read in all the disaster of Karbala from the beginning to the end. So we call that the maqtal. The first year the maqtal has been written in is the 62 after Hijrah. And we mention on the first day that the Imam Hussein has been martyred. The martyrdom of Imam Hussein was do you remember the year?
61st.
61st of Hijrah. So just after a few months. And that has been written by someone, he's one of the best companions of Imam Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, but he's got a long age, called Asbagh ibn Nubata. He was great man, absolutely great man. The other person who wrote the Maqtal is someone called Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi. This person is one of the best companions of Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. The other person have wrote it is on the time of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, somebody called Ammar al-Duhani. So these people, when they wrote it, guys, you listening to me? When they wrote the Maqtal, they gave this transcript to the A'imma of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And the A'imma have accepted it. And we mentioned yesterday, guys, sorry, just listen to me. Excuse me.
Yo, don't.
Just go out, please, forward. Just go out, please. No, just that guy, because he just goes in. Yes, please, yeah, because you'll often, yes, please. Just wait outside, please. Thank you. So what we got, guys, in some points, you got that, we mentioned yesterday about the role of the Imam. And we say that Imam, everything he does, everything he accepts, it should be acceptable for us as a rule. Because that's what we believe as Shia and A'imma of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So the A'imma have accepted this musibah. They have accepted that disaster, which has been written by their companions. So, and that comes generation after generation until we reach up to it now. So when you go through the details and the depth of the Maqtal, you're going to find out that's how tough was the life of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, suffering, and how tough was the situation of his family and his companions on the day of Ashura they passed through. The other thing as well, guys, you know that's, so if I'm going to ask this question, how many knows about how many Imam Ma'soom have attended the battle of Ashura? Imam Ma'soom.
5. 2.
2. Oh, they are.
Imam al-Hassan. 3.
Just one second.
Imam al-Hassan and
Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein. So, what about the 3? When you say 3? When you say 3, what the name of the Imams were attended?
Imam al-Hussein ibn Ali, Ali ibn al-Hussein.
And Imam al-Hussein ibn Ali, yes, great. Yes, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he was there.
Okay, and Ali ibn al-Hussein.
And Ali ibn al-Hussein, and who was the third one? His son, Ali ibn al-Hussein's son, Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam.
Oh,
Yeah,
was it?
yeah,
Oh, Zayn al-Abidin.
yeah, no, Zayn al-Abidin and his son as well. So Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, he did attend the battle of Ashura, but he didn't fight because he was so young. But he was one of the witnesses, people who wrote about the Musibah. One more thing as well, you know that not everyone was on the battlefield with Imam Hussein as being killed. There's a few of his companions, they stay alive after him. One of the companions, for instance, called Aqaba ibn Sam'a, when Imam Hussein has been passed away and he's been assassinated by Al-Shimr la'natullahi alayh, Aqaba left. And then when he left, he was alive, so he did manage to mention a lot of things about the Masirah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He was a witness. So, once you get up to that level, guys, of people who have attended that day and who delivered that message to us, you're going to ask yourself, bloody hell, is it actually decent for me to listen to the music while the son of Prophet Muhammad getting killed at this time? Is it actually decent for me to go to the party even if I'm invited? Why the son of Imam Hussein alayhi salam lost his life and passed these horrible situations, which you not really wish that even for your enemies. Does it actually decent to start swearing and have that kind of tough conversation between me and my brother in these days? I need always in these days try to do a refresher. You know, on the computer there's a button called the F5. When you press it, you do a refresh to the computer. So that this time is the F5 for us. We need to make that refresh for our brain to think, what's going to be my situation in front of Zahra alayhi salam and in front of Prophet Muhammad on the Day of Judgment, when I'm passing all these bad things on the day of the memorization of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It's quite tough, isn't it? And when you think about putting yourself in front of the Zahra alayhi salam, and she's going to ask us, what have you done on them 10 days? What kind of a grief you share with me and with Ahlul Bayt about Imam Hussein? What's going to be the answer? It's just me thinking deeply. So what we understand from the Sha'a'ir, first of all, is our identity. You're not going to be, I'm not going to be, we all not going to be respected if we don't have proper identity for ourselves, guys. And the best identity you get for yourself is when people calling you Hussein. Do you know that attribution, how important it is? Do you know how matter is ye getting called, oh yeah, this man is Husseini? It's a big title, guys. It's not just, Hamidi, listen to me. So it's not just standing on the day of Ashura and doing ladwa. It's not just spend the night of Ashura doing cooking and giving food for the people. That's not the whole of the story. Being Husseini has all the ethical, which we mentioned to last night and the night before. It's so important to have this identity, simply because people are not going to respect us if we're not going to be proud of our identity. All the people lost their... You know what? I was watching a documentary in one of the TVs about the Turkish people who live in Germany. You know, the Turkish immigration, they gone to Germany the beginning of 20th century. So they lived there for at least 80, 90 years. Up until now, the German people calling them, no, you're not German, you're Turkish. You don't belong to this culture. You're not part of us. You got your identity, and that's what they call it. The Turkish people will try to prove themselves to the German that, no, we're part of you guys, they'll never be respected. While the Turkish people who stick with their traditions, they're always respected. It's exactly the same scenario with us guys. So, if you're going to see someone outside try blaming you because you're doing this and that for Imam Hussein, just say, are you ready to take your identity out? So, could you speak Arabic? So he's speaking Arabic. Just ask him, just say, could you speak Arabic? You're going to say, yes, I know it, but I'm not going to speak Arabic because English is my native language. He said, yeah, this is the culture. So we're respecting your culture and you don't want to go out of it. So why are you asking me to stay away from my identity? It's my identity. So that is important, guys. Having Imam Hussein as identity is quite important because you will never ever be regretful for that. You'll be proud of it day in and day out. The second thing as well, the Sha'a'ir of Imam Hussein show us the unity. So there's no one, and I mean it, no one in the world can gather about I think last time in Arba'in was 29 million who gone to Karbala in the Arba'in. There's no one in the world, you name it, can get 29 million goes to visit his shrine. His shrine, not him alive. Just think deeply about that. There's a person in his graveyard, and 29 million goes walking to him just to say, "Oh my Imam, we're sorry, but we never forget you, and we're going to stay on your way." Just to bleach bay'ah. So there's no one in the world doing that. So that unity, that is crossing all the lines. It doesn't matter if you are white, black, brown, Arabic, Indian, I don't know, Pakistani, American, European, and you name it. You put all the continents, you put all the countries. It doesn't matter. The only thing matter is me and you on this way. Hussein is the way. So that's the unity. The other thing as well, the Sha'a'ir is the method which is save the deen, save the methodology of the religion. So how many of us, let's ask ourselves, how many of us are really dedicated to do the Fajr prayer in time every day? It's quite difficult to say. Me, because a lot of us missing that. If you notice, that's on the day, on the time of Ashura, especially the first 10 days, a lot of us gonna stay in the mawaqib, doing the majlis, and then when you go back, some of you, when they go back home, they see their mum or their dad watching the telly, and watching majalis as well on the telly, so they're gonna stay till the Fajr time. So they're gonna do their prayer on the Fajr. So these 10 days is indirect reminder for the importance of the Fajr prayer. Without Imam Hussein, there's no deen. So one of the people, so Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam in Sham, and Sham was one of the painful places. Could you go out, please? Yes, yourself, please. Could you go out? No, it's not this guy, the guy next to him, please.
All for it. Take them both off. Oi, get out with it. Yeah. خله.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. One of the painful places Ahlul Bayt have passed during that journey after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is Al-Sham. And do you know where is that geographical spot? Oh, this is Syria now. So it's not just Syria, but by that time it was Syria, Jordan, Palestine. All these countries has been split in recently in the beginning of the 20th century. So that place, Al-Sham. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, when he went back to Medina, and when people were going to him to say, how are you, Ibn Rasulullah? And what was the situation in Sham? He couldn't hold his tears. He was saying, Asham, 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 وَمَاذَا رَأَيْنَا مِنَ الشَّامِ. What did we see from the Sham? It was so painful that he be in place where everybody's dancing for your musibah. It's so painful. All the places they pass, from Karbala to Sham, they have got Shia, and these Shia were actually showing their grievance to them. So imagine when one of us has got what we call a Fatha. So someone died in the family, and then we have that majlis to do to memorize that person who died. Imagine when somebody coming in the Fatiha and start dancing and laughing. Just get that in your head. It's a disaster, isn't it? So weird, not acceptable. And the first thing you're going to say, bloody hell, just show some respect. So that person was thousands, just times it with thousands, and they were in Sham dancing and celebrating for the death of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So, and his family was watching that. So, at that time, someone came to Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, and he told him, could you tell me what was the reason behind it? All that, your dad has been killed, your brothers have been killed, your companions have been killed, and you know what? They're not normal companions, they are the best of the best. So all that was the reason behind it. So at that moment, when that person asked, after a couple of minutes, the adhan at that time comes up. And the mu'adhin starts saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So Imam Zayn al-Abidin has turned his face to him, and he say, for this, we sacrifice for this. Because without this death, and without this great sacrifice, there will be no Islam. That's why Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam call Musibat al-Imam al-Hussein one of the greatest names in Arabic, and the people who speak in Arabic, they know how deep is this word. They call it Wa'iyat al-Hussein. Wa'iyat mean is the greatest thing could ever happen to anyone. And it's that famous as no one can just delete it. No one. So that's why it's Wa'iyat al-Hussein alayhi salam. So, and after all that, if we want to come in to the A'immah of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam and see how was A'immah living at that time, when they approaching Ashura, Imam Rida alayhi salam, on that riwayah, somebody say, when the Muharram comes in, Imam Rida alayhi salam, he never ever been seen laughing or even smiling. And then when it comes to the 10th of Ashura, that's the day of the Musibah of Imam alayhi salam. So he was doing recommendation to someone called Ibn Shabib, and he's one of his companions. He was telling him, Ibn Shabib, if you are going to ever cry, always cry on Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Why Ibn Rasulullah? He said he's been slaughtered as the sheep, and all his companion and his family has been killed with him. And then after they killed him, he's been left on that heat sand for 3 days with no even clothes. These savage people tortured Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Ya Ibn Shabib, whenever you're going to cry on Imam Hussein until your tears comes in your cheeks, all your sins is going to be forgiven by Allah. Ya Ibn Shabib, if you're going to cry for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and you keep that kind of goodness for yourself, when you're going to see Allah, you will be clear of your sins. Ya Ibn Shabib, if you want to visit someone, then the first thing you do, you visit Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Ya Ibn Shabib, if you want to be with us on our degrees on the Day of Judgment, so you have to do grief for our griefs, and you have to do happiness for our happiness moments, and you have to follow our wilayah. So that's why, on this situation, one of our greatest ulama, he called Himyari. Himyari, rahmatullah alayhi, have described that disaster when he say, على جدث الحسين وقل يا أعظم الزكية يا أعظم لا زلت من مطفى ساكبة الروية ما لذ عيش بعد رضك بالجياد الأعوجية. Guys, is it Imam Hussein? He was one of the first Muslim killed person, has been smashed with the horses after he died. And you know what? Some of the Ma'atil said he was alive at that moment when the horses passed his body. So that's what the Sayyid al-Himyar explained in here. He said, "Oh Hussein, the Aisha after you is not going to be happy or nice because your body has been smashed with the horses." قبر تضمن طيبا آباء خير البرية آباء أهل الرياسة والخلافة والوصية. Oh Hussein, that grave has got the son of the best on earth. والخير والشيم المهذبة المطيبة الرضية فإذا مررت بقبري فأطل بي وقف المطية. The Sayyid, when you want to visit Imam Hussein at any point, inshallah, that's going to be written for all of us soon. Try to stay as long as possible. وابكي المطهر للمطهر والمطهرة الزكية كبكاء معولة غدت يوما بواحد المنية. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين والحمد لله رب العالمين. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all maghfirah on these days. May Allah accept our deeds, inshallah. May Allah accept our worship. May Allah give us a white and nice heart to be with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of judgment and his Ahl Bayt. May Allah give us that honor to see them on the day after, and may Allah give us that honor to be better and better until we get into the level of Ashab al-Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam in the near future. Brothers, sisters, don't forget our marhumeen by reciting Surah Al-Fatiha مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. حياكم الله.